How is everybody today? I am super well, happy to be here, happy to have it be another Monday, another opportunity to be awesome and to continue the work, which I'm always excited to do and come in here. Especially after last time, did you see? Oh my gosh. Like, how much fear was I operating with in that last video? What was my energy signature in that last video? Right? Did I feel safe, secure? No. Like everything that I was feeling and experiencing and quite frankly uncovering was all fear. Like all of it, the whole thing, right? And so that really calls me out if I'm going to be, hopefully a thought leader that moves us towards a more loving existence. If I'm operating with that much fear, like it's incongruent, right? So I'm grateful for that process, and I have to really take a look at that in terms of like, who am I? How am I, vibing in the world? What am I bringing into the world? What am I, inspiring in others, right? Am I inspiring fear, or am I inspiring love and what I'm hoping, will move us forward in the right direction? Because it's not fear. And it's so interesting to come in. I was watching that video the last time when I was editing it, and I was like, oh my God, like someone get in there and help this poor guy. He has real problems. Right? Because like it's just so laid bare. But again, that's what I'm in here doing, quite frankly, is showing our ability to get down into our own stuff and uncover it, right? And deal with what is. So what is for me? Well, do I trust people? No, I don't, right? And that was made perfectly clear in that last video of just how much it's so shocking to me to, dive into what I'm vibing with and what is going on internally and to uncover, oh my gosh, just layer after layer of fear, right? Everything from I'm running out of time on the planet to, I don't trust people to ever do right in the world. I just don't trust people at all in general. Like there's no trust. And so I've been thinking about that a lot, in terms of, what's on brand for Dale? What's on brand for me? In the way that I exist in the world and what I continue to operate with. So this moment, I feel like that I'm in right now, has brought me to an intersection of everything that we've been working on in here, and it's calling me out to do better, right? And while I don't know how to fix a lot of this, that doesn't matter, right? Because the first step in anything is just awareness, right? The first step is never getting better, right? And our personal awareness of ourselves and how we operate and what is our default position is instrumental in informing us whether we're using our mind or whether it is using us. This is a big concept in my books. In the books, it's called Bringing Yourself Up to Zero, right? Because you're not a fully integrated human. You're not operating from the highest level of intelligence. You're not the master and commander of you, right? If you're operating from fear, that's just not possible. It's not possible. So what do I do with that, right? Well, let's look at some of our earlier exercises. Ensuring that we are a solid container for ourselves. That was the very first exercise we ever did in here. The very first exercise. Are you a solid container for yourself? Right? And what it feels like to wrap our energy bands, right, onto ourselves to create that solid container of us. Right? So that we just don't have like loose emotions that are like laying around on the ground and someone comes by and accidentally steps on them and hurts our feelings. Right? That was the first step. Being a solid container for ourselves. It's kind of like the same idea as the love bus, right? Creating a container of ourselves so that we can operate within ourselves, right? From a place that we are, quite frankly, proud of. Right? And it's understanding that we have the option to allow our mind to use us, or we can use our mind. Am I deliberately choosing to be fearful? Or is that just being put in me, right? Without my consent? Is that just a default setting, right? And it goes back to the whole process of understanding, identifying, and finding our core values. Is my core value fear? No. Why is it there? Well, there's a little housekeeping there that it looks like I haven't cleaned up yet. There is unwanted fear that just exists in me because I can't trust my fellow humans. Now, granted, there's a reason for that. Right? And while there's a reason for that, there's also a repercussion with that. And the repercussion of that is the closest I can get to my fellow humans is doing this. Right? Is to be in a room completely by myself and talking into my phone. That's the level of intimacy that I'm comfortable with in terms of my fellow humans. Or being on stage and thinking I'm surrounded by my fellow humans who are all, in the dark clapping. That's the kind of interpersonal relationship that I can function with. Because there's no actual interpersonal communication or actual relationship there, right? It's something I've discovered that works for me. And it's why I have no friends. It's why I don't have people in my life. Because I don't trust, right? So is that what I want? Whew, man. Is that what I want? Do I enjoy this level of intimacy with humans where there's actually no relationship or even another person in the room? Is that what I want my life to look like? Because that's what I've been doing. That's where I am. That's what I'm comfortable with. And that's where I live. But again, am I choosing that? Or is that a default setting? What are my core values around that? And have I processed it? Have I assigned it? Have I prescribed it to myself? Or am I just functioning from old patterns and behaviors? Because again, I'm very serious about becoming the master and commander of me and my mind. Because while I may not be able to change anything on the external world, this is all me. This is all mine, right? This is all my choices. And it affects the external, right? It can't help but do it, right? When I'm operating from a different vibe, a different choice, I have different opportunities. So what do I want? I can have anything I want. Is that level of self-protection and not trusting good enough for me? Is that where I want to live? Is that a choice I'm making? Well, unconsciously, it has been. But through this work, I can't deny it anymore, right? I have uncovered it quite publicly. But for me, like, that also creates a moment of accountability, right? When I do this and declare this publicly, I have to look at that. I have to unpack that, right? I don't know if I want to change that. It's, I don't know, it's just the dynamic in my life that I have in relationship with others. And, you know, ever since I was like a kid, I've just not had friends because I just don't trust people, quite frankly. And I usually have like one solid good friend and like nobody else in my life. And like that is a pattern that has existed for me for decades now. Right? I always just have one solid friend or partner or husband or whatever that I'm just social with, and everybody else is just not safe. So again, I'm not sure where I am with that, but I do know that the trust part, right? The trust part has to be addressed. Because again, if we don't have that trust in the universe, things don't function or operate well. Because you're not doing it in conjunction with the magic and power of the universe. You're just, you know, out there just running self-will and letting that call the shots. Oh man, it's tricky for me. And I'm gonna try and work on it. Like I said last time, I don't have any solutions at this point, but I do have more awareness. And I gotta be okay with that just being enough for today, because that's progress, right? And every day that I come in here and try and evolve and get better and look at my, conscious behavior, oh man, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that. But again, I'm just going to be okay for today in saying that I'm aware of a huge problem that is coloring my entire life and addressing the fact of why I can't have actual real human relationships and why I'm alone all the time. Right? Because that's up to me. And being in that kind of fear is a choice. Right? Because I know how to not be in fear. So maybe I just need to look at where my focus is. Maybe I need to skip the layer, right, the astral plane that has our fellow humans on it, and just take it up a notch, right? Knowing that I'm going to address the interpersonal human stuff at some point when I find answers. I'm also going to program it into my reticulated activator to look for those solutions. When we ask for the universe to deliver us information that we are currently seeking, like I'm doing here, right? I'm going to ask the universe to deliver to me, and I'm going to program my brain to be more aware of the message that's coming in. We can't overstate the importance of telling your mind what to be on the lookout for. That's the purpose of the reticulated activator, right? And you can put things in there for it to pick up on, right? It's like when you buy a new car, suddenly you start seeing it everywhere on the street, right? Same idea. When you program your mind to look for a solution for why you have so much fear around your fellow humans, I mean, answers are everywhere. for me, a lot of times they just kind of come to me, right? Or I'll see a particular meme on Facebook or something super random that really speaks to me, but because I've told my brain to be on the lookout for that type of messaging, it brings it to the forefront of my consciousness rather than just happening in the background. So I gotta start using my mind more in conjunction with what I want and where I'm going, as opposed to just letting it call the shots and default to old programming. I don't want to be fearful. I don't want to live my life like this, right? Because what I've become aware of is that when I'm doing this, right? Look what I'm doing to my heart center's light. My heart center's light is not shining, right? And that's optional. That's a choice. God, it takes me back to when I first started to really develop a sense of communication with the universe, if you will. That's kind of the one area where I will give kudos to my Christian upbringing. It led me to a Christian camp where I was taught how to meditate as a child. That's about the only good thing I took out of the whole thing. Is that as a child, I learned how to meditate, right? And I learned how to connect, right, my heart center with the universe. But then, just through everything else, right, that heart center that connected to the universe got covered. In my books, I talk a lot about Jack's heart center and how he is told from beyond him that he doesn't have darkness in him. He has walls that he puts up against others that block out the light. That's very different than having darkness in you, right? Shielding out the light is very different than having darkness in you, right? So I have to be really careful about this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, even if I have to, for a while, go above the astral plane. Because maybe if I can't trust my fellow humans, maybe I can trust in the universe. That I know I can do. I always have, right? So to reconnect with that trust, right? And then maybe work the filter down through my fellow humans over time. I'm not promising anything right away. Again, I don't know how to trust people yet, okay? But I'm holding a space right now, right here, right now. I'm holding a space for my future self, right? To not have to cover this, to be able to drop a capital letter T, right? I have this vision of this circle with a big T for trust in it, right? That I'm going to put into my heart center that is going to be a filter, right? That when I turn on my heart center and I'm driving in my truck and I am just bursting and just, completely thrown open my entire spirit center, right, to connect with what is. And I can drop that level of trust into that and shine that trust from here. Wow. Like, that becomes a whole different way of vibing in the world, right? Rather than walking through the world like this, to drop that trust into that heart center and turn that beam onto max, right? That I can do. That I know how to do. That kind of trust I know how to do, because I do trust in not only the universe, but the fact that the universe is conspiring for my success each and every day. I know that's true. I know that's true. I have seen it time and time again. I have experienced it. It's how I, quite frankly, have been able to manifest so many amazing things in my life. I mean, even like, look at my books now. I got the most amazing review on my book from a dear friend, Armand Mastrioni, who directed the film The Celestine Prophecies. This is important to me because people don't always understand the genre of literature that I write, which is spiritual fiction, until I bring it to their attention that Celestine Prophecies is in the same genre. And when they're like, oh, I know what that is, because everyone's seen the movie or everyone's read the book, or, it's been a part of, just our pop culture now for a while. Everyone's fairly familiar with it. So I'm just so grateful that this is coming to fruition. So let me just read you really quickly what my friend Armand had to say after he called me a day and a half after I sent him the book, and he was like, I couldn't put it down. He was like, this is one of the most amazing things I've ever read. So let me just read you the review that he wrote for my book, and I'm so proud of this. This is a real moment for me. So here it is. I've just had the amazing experience of finishing Dale Allen Rouse's book, Foreign to Me. It took me on a familiar journey, the same one I had when reading and ultimately making the film of The Celestine Prophecy. Like that book, Foreign to Me explores similar themes such as who am I and why am I here? As told through the eyes of the main character, Jack Daw, the narrative takes the reader into an exploration of the self and our reason for existence. In an expertly written, compelling, and tightly woven tale, we experience a life on the edge, depicting some of the most horrific and conversely most beautiful moments in Jack's life. Battling a neurological disorder, Jack navigates through a series of encounters, each one shedding light on different aspects of his quest. Skillfully, the author makes us aware of his ideology without being didactic, which elevates this work to a level rarely seen. I highly recommend Foreign to Me to anyone who cares about human nature and the reason of our existence. Armand Mastrioni, producer, director. So, how blessed am I? How blessed am I? Because, I at least have finally gotten this project too, because the baseline of success for me with the books was that it was going to open future opportunity. With just this review, with just what Armand wrote about my books, that opens doors. So I'm on my way, right? And I knew that this moment would happen. I knew that there would come a time where somebody would read my work and give me that kind of feedback, because I always believed that the work was good. But there's always that element of fear until that, inkling is in fact solidified, right? Because until it's real easy to be delusional in here when you just live and work by yourself with absolutely no feedback from fellow humans. Right? And it'd be really easy for me to go down the rabbit hole. And especially when, oh my gosh, for all the times that I've been arrogant, I'm sorry, oh my God, sometimes I hear it back on the videos and stuff, and I could give you a million excuses of how I need to come in here and try and pump myself up and talk like that, but it's gross. I'm sorry. I am working on it. Like I've told you before, I had to install my own self-confidence, right? That didn't come from my parents or my upbringing or, people around me, because they were all quite frankly, like in a competition to tear me down. They didn't win. Right? But I don't always get it right. And I'm still learning. And so if that has ever been an issue for you in watching me evolve, just know that I'm aware of it and I'm working on it, and I'm sorry. I am trying to do better along those lines. So anyhow, I knew that this moment would come when I would have reassurance of what I knew, which is that the work is good, right? And so anyhow, I feel really blessed to have gotten to this point. So that's where I am, right? This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And while I might have to continue to work with it, continue to try and be aware of where I am with that, right? At least I'm aware of it. In shamanism, we have our power stack that we carry within us, right? It's like these kind of 4 deities that we develop a relationship that we call on for different things, right? So I have my power animal. Some people call it a spirit animal. For me, that's the wolf, right? And her name is Gashnon. Her and I, we have this kind of almost sensual relationship. Like, I hold her like this, right? And her and I journey through to find other information about things, right? Which is often represented in here in the way that I think, in the way that I talk, in the way that I just approach life, right? So that's my power animal, and she guides me, and she, like, when we get into situations, she can take over and do things that I can't always, but like, I have a real relationship with this entity, right? My spirit animal. But beyond Gashna, I have, Basha, who is my body protector, and that's the mountain lion, right? As represented by the mountain lion. And the mountain lion is the one that I've been working with the most, right? Because the body protector naturally, for me, wants to hit this position. Beyond the body protector is the gatekeeper, right? Horcrux, the half bird, half man entity that I do not understand. But I experience him in a certain way. And he regulates, in shamanism, your gatekeeper is the regulator of the things within your body. So stress, right? Even dystonia, anything, all of these things that I'm trying to choose and regulate, right? That's all the gatekeeper. And he was the one that was there when I was having that reading from that woman who was, oh my God, that Reiki woman, and she was like having this whole communication with him, and then was telling me about it afterwards, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this stuff is so, like, when you get into those off-grid places with people who also function there just as easily as they do here, like that woman that was giving me the Reiki session, or like several other like powerful medicine women that I've had in my life, it will mess with your mind, right? Because we're not ever shown those things. And yet the tribes of North America have been working with this power, right, for eons. It is very real. It is very true for me. So above the gatekeeper, we have the angel of neutrality. And her and I are still getting to know each other. She's the one I probably have the weakest relationship with. Because the angel of neutrality asks you to be neutral and not have an opinion on anything. I'm sorry, what? So I'm still working on that very much to try and, be more neutral. And again, to try and not be so threatened by my fellow humans, and to try and allow a moment where I can find safety when I'm with other people. But I'm just declaring it right now that that's a work in progress for me. but I'm truly grateful for having found that is a core underlying issue. It's up to us to unearth that stuff of why we're so bedeviled and troubled. That's optional. Fear is optional. Fear is optional. And there are so many exercises that we can lean into in order to open up our heart center and not live in fear and trust the universe, right? Because I know I can do that even if I can't trust my fellow humans just yet. But again, I'm holding a space. I'm holding a space for that to change. I'm willing for that to be different for me. So that's kind of where we are today. And don't ever forget, more than anything, that you're in charge of you. You're in charge of your energy, your thought patterns, right? And when you're having a bad day, I want you to lean into any of these exercises because I promise you, I promise you, what is it? Oh yeah, what is it? Oh yeah, like it's up to you, right? And don't ever forget that. You are not a victim of your circumstances. But we have to get really aware of what we're working with and what we are using and what we are not, especially when it comes to our mind, right? You're in charge of that, right? And we get to be the absolute master and commander of us and our mind and our moods and our emotions. We're in charge of that, and it's okay, right? Because we have what? The whole idea that it sometimes takes the funk in order to get rid of the funk, right? Like you can do it. So don't ever forget that. You're in charge of you. I want you to go out, be awesome, and I will see you on Wednesday. Okay, bye.